Many fans here in the chat.
Hello and welcome back to coverage of the PDGA Euro Tour. We are excited to be bringing you coverage of the Konopiště Open at the Franz Ferdinand Disc Golf Course. This is round to back 9 MPO lead card coverage. We have hit the halfway point of the tournament and are excited to be entering the final 27 holes. I'm Connor Wood, and with me, Elias Luukkonen.
Nice to be here once again as we take a look at the top 10 scores. Niklas Anttila absolutely shredding through the front nine, 7 under, leading the tournament by 3 over Jakub Semerád with also a very solid front nine. Actually, Paul Macbeth shooting the same front nine as Niklas Anttila, so we're set up for some really hot scores on the back nine. So let's get at it.
We will kick it off here. Hole 10 is a 112-meter par 3 with a double mando between these two large trees that you see to the right and left of the frame. A lot of players will opt for the turnover backhand or the high swinging forehand, sloping softly downhill once you pierce through the double mando. Quite common to get a little bit of ground play naturally funneling towards the green. A very attackable hole and definitely a birdie you want to maintain pace with the leaders.
Yeah, especially at this point with the leaders playing so hot through the front nine. Niklas traditionally having to, he's gone with the roller on this hole, but the double mando really taking it out of play as he throws a very good looking sidearm there, showing off that versatile game of his. Rolls outside the bullseye and into 7 meters. That's a really great angle control there and showing off that he's got some distance on the forehand too.
Really well-rounded. Daniel, opting for that roller that you said is brought out of play, definitely making it significantly harder to hit the double mando, but he has done just that, spinning out a little bit early. I'm surprised to see him not leaning on his accurate forehand that we mentioned in the front nine. He is really solid with that.
Yeah, very surprised. Daniel maybe not that much of a power forehand player, as this hole still requires quite a lot of power from the forehand. As we see Jakub going, as he always does, with a bit of an Anheuser release with an overstable disc, and that's just a perfect shot there, really showing off how to play this hole.
Would you say he's flexing on the lead card?
I think you could say that.
Roni, opting for the turnover backhand, catches the final branch, preventing the full flight. That was shaping really nicely towards the green and unable to complete that.
As we see Jeff Spring, the CEO of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, making it all the way to Europe, and Daniel with a huge putt from outside circle 2 potentially. Wow, that was really huge. He's had some putting struggles on the front nine, but really makes up for at least one of them.
And there we go, give him the slow-mo replay. We see Daniel bringing it really low, but then releasing super high with the nose up, catching a well-timed fade into the heart of the chains. And you see the rare emotion from that man, normally stone cold. Little smile, well earned.
Very true. And Roni from a similar distance, just a little bit closer, missing it just barely to the left. He had a tough front nine, but hopefully putting it together on the back nine. As we see Niklas inside the circle, pitch putt. No surprises there. Continuing that insanely hot start, almost setting up for the course record.
Jakub there, also of course a confident putter, securing his birdie here on hole 10. I believe it was Niklas with this new adjusted layout in round 1. The course record currently sitting at 11 under par. He is already working his way towards that, only here on hole 10, as Roni secures his par as well. The only birdie missed on the lead card here, hole 10.
Unfortunate by Roni, and actually a side fact, this was the point when Roni messaged myself to tell, hey Elias, please come caddy for me, I need some emotional support. So in a couple of holes he will get my emotional support on the course.
Amazing stuff, good teamwork there and solid friendship. We see here hole 11, a 261 meter par 4. You want a long straight shot battling through that initial tunnel to really open up the gap on the second shot. You want to throw 150 meters or further to beat that final purplish tree as you then try to attack through or around this second enormous purple tree. You see the basket tucked away right behind it. This is a huge guardian that prevents a lot of really good shots from making it all the way to the basket and often leaving players with an obstructed putt off the knee under the hanging branches.
Yeah, the tree next to the basket has one of the lowest ceilings you can see on any disc golf course. You have no more than 1 meter of airspace under the tree, as we see Niklas going towards the left side of the fairway with an well understable disc, flipping it perfectly through the middle of the fairway, fading left, opening up that angle to get the forehand approach to the green. And that was a long and very accurate shot, reaching 155 meters.
And exactly the distance you want to be around the final tree. Daniel just crushing this one, turned over with a ton of speed. He fires well down the fairway. That is 160 or more, as he has shaped that to perfection with a ton of pace. An amazing shot from Daniel.
Always a good sign when you turn the cameraman around just to follow your shot. And Jakub also shaping it insanely well towards the left side of the fairway, fading out. And that's 165. Possibly even tied for the longest drive of the group with Daniel.
The natural flex player to his strengths. We see Roni now turning something over with a little bit more understability, but as this begins to fade out, he is finding the very common landing zone of that large tree to the left. He will be slightly obstructed, I think more in the walk up than the swing, but actually fortunate to break right out into the open. Power forehand approach.
Looking very good. Hope that's long enough. Not quite long enough, doesn't get around the bunker tree. And as you can see, the sun already setting. The time is, I think, 8:30 at this point. So these players only have about 1 hour to play the round if they want to finish when it's still light or bright outside.
And I think it's really, they're encouraged to do so, given that the alternative is finishing the round early on the third day of the tournament, which is not ideal for anyone, the organizers or the players. So these guys really putting on a fast pace for their round here, charging through the course, already on hole 11.
Very true. And Jakub going for the alternative route, trying to skip under the branches on the right side of the tree. We also saw Niklas trying the backhand route, unfortunately hitting the tree. And Daniel, perfect spot to go for the forehand. A little bit early, but goes through the branches. He's, I think, inside the circle there. That's a great result on this hole. It's one of the more seldomly birdied holes on the course.
Jakub here going so far right, he finds those nettles, but giving him a chance to just approach nice and safe. It was interesting. Daniel so far up on off the tee shot that it looks like he maybe pulled a little bit of power off his approach forehand, as a result finding the trees. We see Roni there underneath the branches, slides on up.
Daniel unfortunately unable to cash in that birdie, even though he was, I think, on the edge of the circle, still having to contend with that low ceiling. And even Niklas, very low ceiling, hits the first branch out of his hand, and unfortunate miss there. I think the first miss of the round, although kind of feels weird to call that a miss when it was such a difficult putt.
Yeah, did not really have any sort of ceiling that was manageable. As we see, a lot of pars here. The elusive birdie on hole 11 still yet to be found here in round 2. Perhaps our lead card will find it in round 3.
I would assume so.
Here you see hole 12, a par 4 sitting at 201 meters. You have this initial tunnel to shape through. You want a disc that goes to the right the entire way and maybe even continues to turn back a little bit into a horseshoe shape. You want a really good drive to land anywhere near this FPO tee, then allowing you to attack over the water carry, a significantly dangerous shot, although not particularly technically hard. You are very aware of the risks. Any branches along the way will put your disc in the water and most likely lost. As you battle over this into the island green, there is a back slope, so you can really attack it, hit the ground, slide your way up.
There's many ways to play the first shot. Important thing is moving right, early, and pretty hard. And you want that glidey finish to the right. You don't want to dump right, but rather, for example, Niklas going with an understable mid-range, trying to get that glide. But this is unfortunately a little bit wide to the left. So he ends up hitting the corner tree on the left, and that's really not a birdie position. He will most likely have to lay up for the par there.
I think no other choice for him. He will be so pinched he won't even have a look at the water carry. Daniel opting for a interesting low forehand, but gets a nice skip just off the branches there and fights his way into the open. He will be able to manufacture a birdie look if he wants to take that risk, but still further away from the beginning of the pond than you would like to be comfortable. May still be laying up. Jakub here also opting for the Anheuser backhand, nice and high, and also pushes the back trees. You really need to turn at a specific moment here, and it's tough to time that to perfection.
Yeah, as we see Roni grabbing his signature shot, a glidey grenade with a very understable disc, going over the gap and trying to glide down the fairway. That's an incredible shot, and he's also very well known for that shot in Finland, as we see Jakub just laying up to the front of the pond.
Incredible creativity from Roni, really showing off his versatile skill set. I'll be honest, I did not realize grenade was a viable line or shot off the tee, but he really worked that nicely and has positioned himself in a good spot. Niklas looking for the jump putt approach, I think, not as left or as far as he would like. Daniel has a position now attacking. This looks really good. It's fast, it's high, it's driven, and he fights his way to the green. That is an incredible shot with a low ceiling the whole way.
That was super aggressive and gets the result he wanted. He's inside the circle there. And Roni unfortunately gliding too far with the grenade, having a pinched angle to the green, so just laying up, trying to get that par. And Jakub also left his forehand a little bit short with the layup, having to go with another big forehand. Fortunately, just goes over the pond, but hits the last tree, so he will have a long putt for the par there.
And it's about 50-50 if you keep your disc in bounds hitting the tree that Jakub did. The branches hang over the water, but the trunk obviously connecting to land. Fortunate for Jakub to be safe. Niklas here hitting the same tree, although on the backside, kicks towards the basket. He was fading well away from it, so that's a fortunate break to keep him close and on the putting green. Roni here after his pitch up. The most common play, if you're not well positioned, is to lay up to that position, and he's given a great upshot there into the green. Elias, have you arrived yet?
Actually, this was the exact hole that I arrived on, and trying to calm Roni's nerves down as best as I possibly can, as we see Jakub missing the putt. And Niklas just inside the circle here. He's been a great putter so far and continues that. Pretty much dead center and low. That was a perfect putt, and not showing any nerves even with the long putt for par there, showing off that hours of practice that he's done in the winter.
Daniel as well, translating that to birdie. This is a really good 3 to get. I believe this hole averaged well over 5 actually in rounds 1 and 2, so getting a 3 is 2 strokes or more against the field, although these guys are now playing against the lead and chase cards. 3 is still an amazing score here on hole 12. And Roni, a little bit out the right side, did all the work to get himself up there, even pitched up to give himself the upshot over the lake safely, but then unable to find a circle 1 putt, brings it back, finds the bogey.
Yeah, and as we mentioned on the front nine, Roni told me that he was very nervous from the beginning of this round, and hopefully being able to calm some of those nerves. As you see me, giving him a pat on the back. It's gonna go well, I'm saying. I hope, at least.
Some camaraderie here on the lead card. They will walk to hole 13. a 108-meter par 3 with a left-to-right softly sloping fairway and a few branches to the right and left of your frame now, preventing any errant shot from making it all the way. This can be played with a turnover backhand, a forehand, and I think a lot of players for safety, especially on the backhand, will opt for a low-speed disc, as this is one of the fastest greens on the course. Anything coming in too hot does skip and maybe even roll, and of course, an elevated basket, if you put it close, still to contend with.
Daniel going with his signature flip-up sidearm, I believe going with an understable FD2, and you can see the incredible touch he has with those fairway drivers, just absolutely parking the hole. It's very tough angle control on this hole with the forehand, as we see Niklas going with the Discmania Sensei, a very straight flying putter as he glides it down the fairway. Pretty much a perfect shot, a little bit just long off the basket.
But a great display of his angle control, shaping that all the way to the green with the soft turning flight. Jakub, I believe, looking to shape something similar as he gets this softly turning and panning out. A really similar result as we see two great backhand putter lines displayed there from Niklas and Jakub.
Yeah, I believe it's a little bit easier with the backhand on this hole because you can match the grade of the hillside easier. As we see Roni throwing his go-to jokeri, and he's inside the circle there, maybe getting that first birdie of the round. As we see Niklas from almost 8 meters away, still going with the pitch putt, really showing off that distance he has just with the straight arm and a flat release, putting that in the middle.
And Roni now with the camaraderie, able to secure his first birdie of the round, although it was a little bit, I was skeptical if it would stick. He does find it in the bottom, gives a wave of the hat to the crowd as these guys putt their short putts. I'm surprised his hat stays on while throwing these big tee shots. Could you speak a little bit about his fashion choices on the course?
Yeah, it's his signature hat that he always uses on the course, as we see this guy's shaking the chains for a star frame, first one of the round. But yeah, Roni has that signature style of hat all the way from the US.
Here you see hole 14, a 256-meter par 4. This tee shot opts for a big hyzer, maybe flip up to flat or soft flex with an overstable disc. You just want to beat this corner on the left here, opening up your approach on the second shot. Once you do get around this corner, it's about 120 meters to the green. If you can get more distance off, you can cut that distance down. As you are battling uphill, you see that this sloped green from back to front allows a good aggressive shot to try and blast your way into the hillside and find your birdie. This is one where, although it's not too severe of a slope, you can see some rollaways if you don't find the chains.
And important to note that we are slightly running out of daylight, so some of these players are already playing a little bit faster than normal. As we see Daniel ripping a hyzer, trying to get around the left side corner. Unfortunately, goes left a little bit too early, so he's gonna have a bit of a low ceiling, longer approach than he would like.
Niklas pushing this one up to flat just a touch more than Daniel's, and you see the difference it makes. He gets around that corner and is now really well positioned at about that 110 to 120 meter approach to the green. That is an ideal spot to be. Jakub most likely playing the natural flex, as he is one to do, fires off the Anheuser release, very overstable finishing disc, and that is an amazing shot.
Yeah, that's a big drive. That's one of the longer ones I've seen all weekend. Roni probably looking forward to match that, going with more of a slightly understable flip-up hyzer, getting more glide towards the left, opening up the hyzer angle for the approach, and that's another just perfect drive.
And a smash at that. We see Daniel now, fortunate to be near the back of these trees, has an opening, although very awkward, both on the footing and the swing. Connects to the hillside, a touch early. He will be now playing for par as we have Niklas working his way to the green.
Niklas with an FD3 here. He knows it's perfect. You can see it from the reaction. Actually just a little bit short there, but just 4 meters left, and looks like another easy birdie for him.
Roni opting for the hyzer approach as well, playing into the hillside. He catches the edge, pushes a little bit forwards rather than left. He'll be left with a tester putt of about 7 or 8 meters. Daniel now so far up, he has just a short forehand hyzer.
Yeah, good cleanup there. Unfortunately not getting the birdie, but good par save from where he was. Roni from inside the circle here, getting another birdie, really opening up his round finally on the back nine. You can see he's a little bit amused by his play, but I'm sure he's happy to get that 2 birdies in a row.
And it seems like your presence has allowed him to relax a little bit and find his game. We see Niklas there securing his short birdie putt, and you can really see the darkness now settling in. Every minute of daylight is a considerably different condition to be playing in, and it can change your depth perception on a lot of these throws. I mean, these players will be comfortable with the courses and landing zones. They'll know what discs they need to throw, but particularly on putting, the depth perception will be skewed a little bit by the low light. So, interesting note.
Yeah, that's very true, and still all of these players motivated to finish the round, and so that they don't have to wake up early tomorrow to get to play and actually finish this second round.
And it's a strange situation to have to play maybe just 2 or 3 holes the next day, take a long break, and then start your third round. So these guys will battle and race towards the end of the course. They find themselves here now on hole 15, a par 4 at 228 meters, going downhill the entire way, as well as softly right to the left. It may look like it bends to the left, but it really is just 2 straight shots, the slope of the hill naturally bringing you to the left. You want a big drive off the tee, likely leaving you with a putter or mid-range into this green. 2 straight shots, this will really test your angle control.
Very true, and this hole sets up for a big drive, as it is slightly downhill from the tee, but even more once you get over that 100-meter mark. You can see Niklas turning it over just slightly and getting that full carry off the disc. That's actually an incredible drive. He's only about 75 meters or 70 meters from the basket. So that was a good 150 meter smash.
Jakub, we mentioned natural flex player, gets the Anheuser release, but that will pinch him off as he's now behind those trees on the right of the tunnel. We'll have some work left to do, but great distance. Roni here, really shaping this one over nicely. You see the slow turn, the pace, also flipping the cameraman. That is a bomb so far down there.
Wow, that was incredible. Really showing off that high spin rate on the disc, being able to continue forward even with a low shot. Daniel going a bit more of a turnover from the left side, but unfortunately the left side early low branches kicking his disc down, and now he has about 140 meters left to the basket, going with a straight fairway driver and actually shaping this beautifully down the middle of the fairway. And wow, he's inside the circle there. That's an incredible approach from way out.
Amazing control of the stability and angles on the nose down shot. A lot of discs will play significantly more understable going downhill, so some great control. Jakub, some course maintenance there, but gets a finish back into the center fairway. We'll have a short throw or jump putt approach. Niklas from a pretty prime position will be left with a soft hyzer here, looking like he's leaning again on that sensei.
Yeah, really one of his most well-thrown discs, and you can see why he's again just 4 meters away from the basket. Really having a lot of those inside the circle short putts. And Roni told me he's running this actually for a little bit. Pretty good throw there, just outside the bullseye.
You think it's to try and get some more strokes off the lead card, or just to generate some excitement?
I think it is to generate the excitement, since Roni told that he's not really competing against these guys right now, but rather against himself. And Jakub there laying up for the par, unfortunately. Daniel with an incredible birdie save. I would call that a birdie save from 140 meters away. That was an incredible showcase of precise power with the fairway driver.
Niklas on his short putt, really maintaining his pace, and that his round score, he has now matched the course record, his score of the previous day at 11 under, still with 3 holes left to go. Jakub securing his par there, struggling on the right side, overturning his drive a little bit. He works his way up there, and Roni finds another birdie now, 3 in a row. Good stuff.
Yeah, really good to see. And as we move on to hole 16, Jeff Spring actually officially asking the players now if they want to continue the round even with the dark conditions, and all of the players enthusiastically said that they absolutely want to finish this round right now. So play continues.
Incredible. They will continue on hole 16. The last par 5 on this course, sitting at 302 meters. You have the series of tight gaps to hit off the tee, where your second shot then opens up into this large, generous fairway, and then your third shot often contending with these low branches and low ceiling, although you can get a pretty significant skip here on this earth and on this fast green. A lot of players will opt for the skip up on their final shot, try to putt for birdie.
Yeah, this hole is really all about the drive. If you get your drive through the tunnel and into the open, you will most likely have a birdie look after the next 2 shots, as we see Niklas going with a straight fairway driver here, turning it over just slightly to the right, but gets a good bounce off the tree towards the fairway, and he will have some sort of a look to get some distance from there.
Roni shaping also something with some understability on a hyzer release, gets it up to flat, fades out through the gap. He'll have some awkward footing there on the slope, but a really nice shot to leave himself a clean look. He'll be able to blast some distance up there on the second, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a good position there. As we see Daniel seemingly going with the same disc as what he used for his long approach on the last hole. But he turned it over a little bit too far to the right, and he will have an awkward time dealing with the trees there.
Jakub getting that soft anhyzer. He turns it over a little bit too much and slides his way underneath those branches. Will be obstructed. He is just a few meters shy of hitting the opening cleanly, and he'll be left now with this awkward patent pending stance. He'll be looking to turn this one over as much as possible and bite off some distance from a very awkward spot. And he's done just that.
Yeah, pretty much a perfect shot from there, even setting up for a very long approach to the green. Possibly still a chance for the birdie there. Niklas here having to go with a stable driver and anhyzer approach, trying to flex it back towards the fairway from that steep anhyzer angle. And that's a good shot. He only has less than 100 meters left from there. So a really good chunk of the distance taken out there by him.
Daniel opting for the roller. The awkward patent pending stance not quite allowing him to generate as much power. Lays it down to the ground, spins out a bit early, but anywhere near that tree you see in center frame does allow to still attack for birdie if they're there on the second. We see Roni out in the open, getting this one, battling the low ceiling now. This is a bomb. Getting the full flight, it continues to go. Even with the skip, he might be putting for eagle, Elias?
Yeah, Roni is actually about 25 meters away for the eagle. That was an incredible shot. He asked me what disc to choose, and I said just throw your more stable one as hard as you can, and that's what he did. Incredible shot. Jakub trying to fight the low ceiling with a slight anhyzer release as usual. Unfortunately not putting enough anhyzer on the very overstable disc he had, so he's finishing short and left there.
Daniel battling under the low ceiling. Even us here struggling to see the discs in the low light. I'm sure they were as well, but he battles his way up to the green nicely, just sneaking under the final leaves.
Yeah, that was another incredible approach from Daniel from 130 meters away, getting it inside the circle. Niklas here pulling it a little bit to the right, hoping for some fade back, and He's long and just on the edge of the circle, actually. Not quite the approach he was looking for, but he's been putting so solid that I would be very surprised if he doesn't make it from there.
Roni here for eagle. I assume he's running at Elias?
Absolutely. Trying to give it a full bid. Unfortunately, putting it too high and fading left outside of the basket. But it was great to see him going for it. Jakub trying to make something happen with the birdie putt there. He's going to settle for par. And Roni, just for speed of play, since daylight is running out, finishing the birdie before Niklas.
And he's put together 4 in a row. You see him really turning it around here on the back 9. We see Niklas here to find himself 12 under par, setting a new course record, at least for now.
You can see how dark it's getting, especially in the shadows. This is one of the darker greens on the course. As Niklas actually misses from 10 meters, very surprising miss. A good line, but just a tad bit low there. He must be very frustrated with that effort, as he's such a great putter.
And perhaps with the conditions as well. We see Daniel there capitalize and translate his shot to birdie. A nice one here on 16. While very manageable, really it's the tee shot I find which determines most likely if you birdie or not. When you're caught up in that thick rough like he was, it can be very difficult to still get enough distance on your second and third shots. And we see there 2 birdies, 2 pars for our lead card.
Yeah, and I gotta bring up that Daniel is playing kind of a sneaky great round. Playing very clean and already 9 under par.
Amazing. He will have 2 holes left to try and improve that score. We are here on 17. Par 4 at 175 meters, although playing significantly longer than that, this is steeply uphill the entire way. You'll see a lot of players choose a big Anheuser release simply to remove the OB left from play, even perhaps relying on some understability. If you can get far enough up there, you're then left with the forehand hyzer around this final guardian into the green, or if you prefer a softly turning backhand Anheuser. I think really difficult to go long, although there is OB long on the green as well as left the entire way of the fairway. You can definitely find danger, a tough hole to birdie, but really just a distance check. If you can get far enough up there, and I'm sure Roni can, then it's a manageable birdie.
Very true, and as he turns it over just slightly and gets a good kick from the branch in the middle of the fairway. He was about to be on the fairway still, but might have been a little bit more right. It's really a forehand from there. Daniel also going towards the middle of the fairway with some big power, keeping the disc very low, minimizing all the risk of going left OB or turning it over to the right. But it's even though it's a very difficult hole for the entire field, mostly, these top level players are really looking forward to getting the birdie here.
Niklas also turning this one over nicely, hugging that right side and then fading out. He is really well positioned right up there with Daniel. Center fairway, ton of distance. We'll see Jakub here.
Another one of those signature Anheuser releases, gets a big snap out of his fingers. And that's the biggest drive of the group, I believe. Very good distance and perfect position.
Absolutely crushed. We see Niklas here, leaning on what looks to be an understable mid-range. Shaping this one around the tree, he battles towards the green, looking to flatten it out, hits the hillside, and it does the job for him.
Yeah, that was perfect angle control, great height, getting it inside the circle. With the backhand, it's really important to just turn it over enough and give it a little bit of height so that it can fight up the hill. With the forehand, it's really an pretty easy hyzer, although unfortunately Daniel saws the forehand out early and he's inside the one big bushy tree on the right side of the fairway. Roni actually going with a slow disc here, absolutely ripping the forehand, and unfortunately still a little bit short, but he will have a circle 2 look from there.
We will see Jakub furthest drive of the lead card now, giving it more height. This is the traditional entrance to the green with the forehand hyzer. the height ensuring that you battle uphill enough, and as he digs in and settles, he'll be left with just 5 or 6 meters for his birdie putt. Really nicely played by Jakub. Daniel swapping out discs, scrambling from the tree. You can try to throw that in, honestly. From circle 2, circle 3 down there, you can definitely give it a bid with the backstop.
Yeah, for sure, and that's what Roni will do here. Trying to give it a bid and actually makes it in off the low cage and jumps in. That's a great birdie, and getting 5 birdies in a row here. Really coming back after that tough start. Really good putt there, and fortunate to go in, because many times if you hit the basket here and don't go in, you might roll far ways down the hill. And as we see Jakub putting it in for the birdie as well. Very solid, solid putting round for Jakub.
And Niklas there setting a new course record, 12 under for the round. With 1 hole left to go, he may even look to extend that. But you can see just how dark it is getting now. We are well past the official sunset of 9:15. This was about 9:30 now. Really pushing these final minutes of light. These players are going to rush to the tee of 18, just a short walk away.
And I can tell you, you cannot see the disc finish on this hole. It was so dark, and let's see if the cameras can see it finish.
We'll take a look on the final hole here for round 2. A par 3 at 136 meters, another beautiful elevated tee as well as a downhill sloping fairway. This plays closer to about 100, maybe 110 meters, and really just a straight shot the entire way. Important to control your height and nose angle, as anything that is too high will likely fade out. You can throw backhand, you can throw forehand, you can throw putter, mid-range. Probably not fairway, but really it's another choice to make.
Yeah, as Roni is going with his go-to straight approach disc, Jokeri, throwing pretty much a perfect shot. He's just outside of the bullseye there. Incredible angle control, keeping the disc going straight for the whole way. As Niklas goes with his sensei that he has been throwing really well the entire round. A little bit left there. He left it on a bit of a more of a hyzer angle than he wanted, and he actually is 20 meters away from the basket.
Jakub now getting a nice soft hyzer to flat release, but turns it over quite significantly. And as he turns to the right side rough, he will have these final trees to contend with. Has enough distance, I think, to take a 3 at worst, maybe even a long stab putt, which he is so familiar with, to try and secure a birdie on the last hole of the round.
As Daniel is trying to go with a soft flex shot, not quite turning it over enough. Hoping it will calm down and not fade too far left. He's about 20 meters left of the basket there. Niklas stated that he has trouble seeing the basket here, which doesn't look that dark in the camera, but it was very dark. Good layup there. Not really a place to run the basket, with the light level being very low.
And Jakub just laying up, ensuring at the end of a solid round that he is not taking any unnecessary risks. As we see a soft bid there from the bushes from, I believe, Daniel.
Roni actually slid a bit long, but here's to finish the round in style with 6 birdies in a row. Very great finish from my good friend, and I'm proud of the guy getting his composure together after a rough start.
And hey, good on you for joining him late in the round and helping him out, giving him the support he needs to thrive and be the best disc golfer that he can be.
As we saw, Jakub 8 under, solid round, Daniel 9 under, even more solid, and Niklas with an incredible 12 under par, even besting his first round of 11 under.
Absolutely amazing, and just a flawless performance from Niklas. It really looked easy for him throughout the course, never in too much trouble, had a few, 1 or 2 perhaps missed putts, as we see some emotion there on the final green from these players, spectators, caddies. All the love going around after what was a complete battle of a day in round 2 until late in the night, a rare condition to be playing.
Yeah, that was a mental battle for all players, as we see Niklas leading the pack with 23 under. Actually not making the course record because Paul Macbeth shooting 14 under, absolutely lights out in round 2, quite literally 2 with the sunset. He's only 2 strokes back of the lead, Davidsson and Jakub Semerád rounding out the lead card. Very exciting card for tomorrow, and thank you, Connor.
Thank you, Elias. There are fireworks going off here in Konopiště. Make sure to join us for the final 18 holes where we will crown your next champion. Thanks for joining us.